So this is going to be interesting. You and I have had kind of a love-hate relationship with, even the topic of electric cars. And we have, it scares us maybe both to think about electric trucks, but this guy's he's doing it, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming. We should talk about it. I don't know. But I will tell you that the Bollinger and the B1.
Now, is it Bollinger or Bollinger?
We should ask him.
Okay.
I think it's Bollinger, but let's ask him when he comes on.
Hard G, soft G.
But here's the deal. I think it's sort of is making this technology interesting to me and maybe friendly. But let's see what Robert has to say because it's his company and clearly he knows what's going on.
Yeah, dial him up.
All right.
It is Robert.
Robert, Lightning and Holman from the Truck Show podcast. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Robert, we have a question for you. Is it Bollinger with a hard G or Bollinger with a softer G?
Bollinger with a softer.
Bollinger. Now we know. Okay.
Yeah.
So before we start with our interview, we do this with everyone.
Yeah.
Well, important people.
We have an intro. We actually have two intros for your segment, and you have to tell us which one you like better.
Do you like kind of a country thing or more of like a punk rock thing?
I think punk rock thing.
Oh, punk rock. All right. So here's your intro.
Innovator, moderator, truck show. Innovator, moderator, truck show. Innovator, moderator, truck show. Innovator, moderator, truck show. Truck show. Truck show. Truck show. Man, that hurts my throat.
All right, Robert, you asked for it. Sorry.
I think we should play him the country western one anyway, just so he can see what the two sides of that coin are.
Nope, we're going to do it next time because we're going to have Robert on again. That's how great of a guest he's going to be.
All right.
Cool. I like it.
All right, Robert owns Bollinger Motorsport. Bollinger Motors. Yes. And so, Robert, we've been discussing the potential to have electric trucks for quite some time. And you're the man to bring it to us, right?
Yes, so this is where we're at. We're hardcore truck guys, and I've been a truck journalist for 20 years. And I like gas and turbos and all that thing. And a couple years ago, when we started seeing some of the press coverage or doing some of the press coverage of the Bollinger B1, I saw it for the first time at the auto show. And I'd seen it in pictures, and I saw some of the innovations that you put into it, the thought you put into it, the functionality of the vehicle, and I got intrigued, and I walked around it maybe for about 20 minutes watching people interact with it, and I got really fascinated, and I gotta tell you, it softened my hard heart for EVs.
Oh, cool.
And tell our audience a little bit about where you came from and why this is where it is today.
Great. Well, thanks for having me on. The truck thing, the car thing has been a lifelong dream of mine to do something automotive, have a car company, design things for cars, make a car. So the truck, though, is a recent thing, an adult thing, if you will. When I was a kid, I drew, race cars and Ferraris and stuff like that. But when you get older, you're like, I like trucks and I need trucks. And living upstate New York and my whole life I was needing trucks. So when I started this whole thing and wanted to do something with electric, I was like, oh my God, it's the perfect thing for trucks, with instant torque and all the millions of different benefits to it. So they kind of married together all of a sudden one year, a couple of years ago in my head, and the team took it to this great level, and it is what it is now. This cool overall new architecture layout and using the benefits of electric and a lot of other stuff.
Now, when you say team, Robert, how does one assemble a team? Like what's your background, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So I went to school for industrial design. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be an engineer or a designer. And so there's this thing called industrial design, which I didn't really know about until I looked into it. And so I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. So I did that at Carnegie Mellon in the 80s. And so that's my background was, drawing stuff and designing things like that. And then with the team, the first team member was Carl Hacken, our chief engineer. And basically I found him on LinkedIn. I just put an ad out there. It was really funny. I should keep what I wrote. It was just like, I'm starting a electric car company and I need engineers. Does anyone want to join me kind of thing? So I got a lot of response actually, and Carl was this amazing engineer that applied to it.
And they didn't think that you were just joking, because it's a pretty lofty goal.
Right. Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. Many days I still don't think I do. So, but it's just a whole learning thing. And the whole EV world is so a brand new thing. Like Tesla, I can't believe how much they've been able to do for years now, because when you look into all the components and all the stuff behind it, it's still extremely young industry. There are very few
they're doing a lot of things that
vendors making this stuff.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of things that everyone said they couldn't do, which is pretty amazing.
Right.
Well, yeah, and even, I mean, people don't understand the logistics and supply chain and the on-demand for manufacturing, all the things that go into a modern automobile manufacturing process today. That's an awfully big widget to figure out, and to see these fledgling companies start figuring it out in a boutique setting, but start to get some, I don't know, some reach and interest behind it. It's fascinating. I think what I was most fascinated about when I was looking at the vehicle, the B1, which was the first vehicle, and you guys, of course, have announced that you're working on the B2, which is the crew cab pickup truck version, was just the innovation and the new way of thinking on your packaging and functionality, but not taking away from what people expect in a four-wheel drive sport utility vehicle.
Right. The biggest thing about the exterior and the look of it was we wanted to make it by hand ourselves. And so that's where the flat panels and the squared off look of it really came from. And it's a similar reason why the Land Rover looked the way it did. So there's, a lot of, similarities in feel to ours to a number of old time design there, which I love. That's my favorite.
Sure, thing. Like Land Rover, early Bronco, Scout.
Broncos,
yeah, definitely some vibe, but in a real modern and simplistic way.
But also, was that a way of, because I mean, to make those stamped steel parts are millions of dollars for the machinery,
right?
The tooling,
yeah. Everything, every part of automotive is both extremely expensive and very long time consuming process. So anything you can do to shave off millions and shave off years in months is always the way we go, is always the answer. So yeah, we were able to just bend those sheets and cut them out and stick them on, and it's a little bit more complicated than that, but it was something we can do in a day instead of waiting months to get those pieces.
So where is square one for you? Is it a business plan? Is it a blank whiteboard the size of Toledo? I mean, how do you start a project this big?
Yeah, it started really just with basically four of us, me, Carl, and CJ came on, and John came on. And so we were in a small little building in upstate New York and researching a ton of things. And basically the truck idea was just a sudden aha moment for me. And it really came, a lot of times you hit these walls where you think, oh my God, we have to stop because nothing's making sense, or this is way too expensive, or whatever. And that always makes you go, wait, we have to do it a different way then. And the truck kind of came out of that, because I was like, I don't want to make a sedan. I don't want to make a little roadster. I don't want to make a little this or little that, or a race car or anything like that. So I was like, I want a truck, and that's so huge to do. But we're like, well, let's just design it and build it, because we have all these cool features to it that we can incorporate. Let's just make it and go from there. So really it was like just one step, then the next step, and then you learn, just keep going. No matter what, just keep going is really the answer, I guess.
What I love about it is I think that when you look at a lot of these EV upstarts, you're right, everybody starts with a roadster or a sedan or a sports car or a race car, but nobody's really starting unless, there's been a couple aftermarket upfitters for electric vehicles that have kind of peaked in the industry and been out there. But nobody has really done a truck or SUV from scratch in the way that you've done it. And I think there's a friendliness and an approachability to the design of the B1 that makes people curious. And it doesn't feel like it's out of reach in terms of price, or it's not something that would appeal to me because it doesn't fit my lifestyle. It almost makes EVs more approachable, and that's what I liked about it. It's almost like this friendly new, this friendly face on new technology that people are maybe afraid of and don't understand what it is. But when you look at the vehicle And you look at what it offers: dual motors, 520 horsepower.
It's friendly like Legos.
Exactly. No, absolutely. 514 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, 33s.
Wait, say that again. How fast?
6.5, 0 to 60.
Wow.
No, it's fast.
No, that's a big vehicle to go that fast.
15 inches of ground clearance, 10 inches of wheel travel, 5,200-pound capacity, 7,500-pound towing. I mean, it's a real truck, a real SUV in terms of capability. It's got geared hubs on it. It's got big brakes. It's got, all the things that you'd want, but then it's this friendly electric it's a 4,800-pound curb weight. It's pretty balanced front to rear on the SUV version, 45, 55. And it's the dimensions are kind of what you'd expect for a vehicle, except I think it's wider, and there's the interior, the way it's done, because it's so slab-sided and open, it's very roomy and airy. And in fact, Robert, one of the things I love...
Is it like a clown car where it's just giant inside?
Well, I mean,
or is it like Doctor Who's telephone?
Yes, it's more like Doctor Who's telephone booth. No,
right.
The TARDIS.
One of the best features, though, is the pass-through.
Thanks. Yeah.
I love that. That's just it's ingenious. Talk to our guys about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the pass-through, it's basically a hole through the dashboard right down the middle, and it connects the frunk to the passenger room to the back. And so on the SUV, on the four-door that we have, you can fit 13-foot boards internally with the tailgates closed.
Excuse me, what? Did you say 13-foot boards?
13, yeah. Yeah, from front
there
to
are
back
trucks. There are trucks that can't fit a 5-foot board in the bed.
This takes the GM midgate to a whole new level because there's no engine in the front. You don't have a firewall, right?
Right.
And so the firewall is open. So it's sort of like a FID gate.
A what?
Yeah,
gate?
A FID gate?
A FID gate?
Yeah, I've had pickup trucks most of my life, and with the full 8-foot bed. And even with the tailgate down, you can still carry maybe 14, 15, 16-foot board, however, venturous you are with them hanging down to the ground. So it holds longer boards than a full-length bed pickup truck. And then on our pickup truck that we showed renderings for, that holds 16 feet within the tailgates closed, and of course longer with the back one down. So, and we have a front tailgate. I guess we're calling a frunk gate. So it's like the front and back are mirrors of each other almost. So I just love the whole like Tonka toy, like you said, almost Lincoln Log kind of thing.
Lego,
the whole truck. You can do whatever you want with it.
You can literally see through the middle of it. Like imagine where maybe a transmission tunnel would be on a traditional truck.
Right.
It's a big open space. I'm waiting for the first idiot to do a Jackass YouTube video.
And jump through
it while it's driving or something like that.
Right.
So, Robert, when you're laying down the plans to, you've got the transmission or you've got all the various parts, the braking system, et cetera, how are you deciding? Because you've got kind of the world's at your oyster, right? You could go Willwood, Brembo. How do you decide what parts to use on your brand new vehicle?
Yeah, well, that's what the engineering team is all about. They have a million ways to figure all that kind of stuff out. But they, in addition to it having to meet our specs, because it's a big truck, it's a Class 3 truck, so we're engineering it to a 10,001 GVWR. So there aren't that many components out there that can handle that. And out of those that do, then it's about, does it meet our specs? Is it made in the USA, which is one of our top priorities? And then what's the pricing? So we're not afraid. We're still working on the final pricing of the truck because we're saying let's get it made in the U.S. with U.S. components.
And that's tough these days.
Right, very tough.
Especially when the automotive supply chain in the U.S. is global. I mean, you look at companies like AEV where they're known for made in the USA components, but their wheels are made overseas because literally that tooling does not exist in the United States unless you're going to do a forged or billet wheel.
Like something as simple as half shafts. Our half shafts are really expensive because they're made in the U.S. Half shafts, you can get them from China like pretty much dirt cheap. So there's certain things that like battery cells, almost all battery cells are made in China at this point. But we're hoping to find someone to help us make cells in the U.S. There are people with brand new technology, the next cutting edge technology for batteries that we're looking at, which might be in future B1s. But right now, if we have to use battery cells from China, it's because that's the only place they come from. But all other components we are sourcing in the US as much as possible. Like, we're hoping it to be like, 95%, 100% US. And it'll just add to the price, but we're going down that path first to see what it ends up at price-wise, and then go from there.
So, Robert, where does the company stand on like the green nature of it all? And by that, I mean, like, we've had the discussion here, guys who are like, who are against the electric movement, right? One of the things we hear about is, what about all the pollution being created by the companies that make the lithium-ion batteries or whatever?
Or where, depending where you are in the country, where does your electricity come from? Is it a coal plant? Is it hydroelectric? Is it wind?
And then all the rare earth minerals mined to make these batteries. And then the batteries, what's the half-life? How do you
recycle
them? And we've heard that it's either Toyota or Honda has a 1 million square foot building somewhere in the south that they just house all the batteries, because the used batteries, because they can't bury them. What's your take on all that?
Well, there's two different things. One is just the electricity that's used. Like, first, electricity to run an electric vehicle is half the cost of using gas. Even when gas is like below $3 a gallon, your EV expense is still much less. So electric is cheaper to run. Also, many states have like 50% of their electricity is being done by renewables now. So it depends on where you're getting your electricity from, of course.
Gotcha.
But more and more of that is becoming renewable and cleaner. And then with batteries, they're finding new sources. A whole big part of making lithium-ion batteries is the dirtiness of it, because when you process all that kind of stuff. So now they're finding a way to mine the actual minerals needed in a cleaner way, so you're not having to do that cleanup job as much. So they are finding ways to make the batteries cleaner as they do them, but it is an issue. The rare earth metals is more about the motors, and so if you use motors that don't use them, there's definitely motors out there that don't use rare earth metals like that anymore.
Gotcha.
So the whole business is cleaning up as it goes, but it's mostly about the batteries. That's true. And then all battery manufacturers have a secondary plan for those batteries. So whenever they come out of a vehicle, they almost always go into stationary EV, stationary electric use, where they hold, solar and wind power.
Oh, so interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
I thought when the battery is dead, it's dead.
Yeah, it's like, well, for EVs, it's up and down, up and down, up and down. When you get past that life cycle where it's below 80%, I think viable, but it's still 60,
holds electricity,
viable,
but not great for driving and that kind of power generation or storage.
Yeah, then it sits somewhere at a more stationary kind of not so much discharging and charging state.
So a battery
has a second life.
Got it. So a battery in yours is that a more like a deep cycle battery, or the opposite of a deep cycle battery?
Well, they're finding now, I know, especially with Tesla, because now they have billions of miles of data on their vehicles, and same with Nissan with their Leaf and everyone. They're all taking constant data from the usage. They found that almost no matter how you use the batteries, it doesn't hurt them that much. They were afraid with like the superchargers, people would run it all the way down and supercharge it really fast all the way up.
Right, they'd have a battery memory like old Nike Hads or whatever, right?
Right, but it's not that bad with lithium ion. It's very more fluid, if you will.
Do the manufacturers, such as the Teslas and Nissans and those companies, Toyota, is there a battery consortium or something where they share, or you can tap into that data for your projects, or is it you have to know somebody on the inside who's willing to share with you, or how's that work?
Yeah, I think Tesla keeps all of their data very close. The biggest part, they opened up a lot of their patents.
Yeah, open source a lot of the
while
patents,
ago.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think the way, especially around their battery, they maybe didn't so much. I might be wrong with that, but I believe how they weld onto their batteries and the data they get from that, I think they hold very close to the heart there. I know if you were to, once you start working with the provider of a battery, they'll share all that with you, because you're going to be sending them a PO and using their batteries.
The supplier side, that's where you can kind of tap into that is
right. So Panasonic, Samsung, all those big companies that make the batteries, once you're working with them, they share all that kind of data with you and what it's going to mean for your vehicle and your drive cycle. It's a lot of work. It's not just like, oh, here's the battery.
Right.
It has to be at a certain, you put them together in a certain amount.
It's almost like a tuning. It's the tuning of a gasoline or internal combustion engine. You have to tune your controller and your battery and your electronics to basically be a match for the vehicle.
Right. A match for your motors,
your
inverters, how many you put in parallel, how many you put in series. It's very quite complicated, but that's what the engineers are for.
On the website, you have listed as a 200-mile range for the B1. Is that the range you're aiming for? When they hit production, will it be that range, or is that the range that you have to hit because then you don't have anxiety for range and things like that, especially on a truck where you might go off-road? Is that the magic number where you're seeing acceptance from people swapping over from internal combustion engines?
We kind of saw the 200 as that number where people don't instantly get worried about it. The average person drives 39 miles a day, I think it is. So 200 is far higher than the average, but definitely from the vehicles that have been out there that have been at 80, 90, 110, you still hear a lot of oh, I'm not so sure, all that kind of stuff. But once around 200, I feel that it seems that people are a little bit more secure with that. So we were going with that because we know that for most people, it's gonna be fine to have that range, way more than fine. I own a Chevy Bolt, besides my Chevy diesel truck, and so the two together kind of average me out there a little.
There you
bit.
go.
But, so the Bolt, we just charge it on the 110 plug. We barely run it down that much at all, and that has 160 miles to it or 200 miles to it. I'm not even sure, but you don't even think about it after a while. If you don't own an EV, you really worry about the miles. Once you own an EV, you realize it's not that big a deal. So it's really
interesting. Yeah. So you brought up the Bolt, which is the electric only, but we just got word, of course, recently that the Volt, which is the hybrid, is going away. How does that make you feel that they couldn't make it profitable?
Or do you think it's the evolution of pure electrics taking over from the hybrids?
Right. Well, Chevy did a great job working with LG Chem to develop the Chevy Bolt with a B. And so that's a really well done vehicle. And so I think that hopefully they concentrate a little bit better on selling those, because this is where the whole EV market unto itself, where it's Tesla and us, and once we start selling one day, where you're fully electric and you're all about it, all about it. It's study after study has shown that when a company like GM or Ford has an electric vehicle, they just don't know how to sell it.
Well, they're doing it.
People don't even know what to talk about it. So it's like they don't even know what to do with them. And it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, Robert, the Bolt out here is marketed so freaking poorly.
Very poorly.
Yeah. I was going after Chevy when I was working at a radio station here. And my name is Lightning on the air, so it would only make sense for Lightning to have a Bolt, right?
Yeah, right.
And I thought, I'm going to take it to see. Dude, I wrote the whole proposal. I said, I'll even buy it at a discount. You even have to give it to me. It doesn't have to be a dollar car, which you've heard about. And I just couldn't get any attention at all. No one knew about the marketing plan. The folks here in Southern California didn't know what GM corporate was thinking and how they were going to market. I'm like, you guys have a vehicle on the market today and you're confused about it. And I thought, is this thing just an excuse so you can sell more trucks in upstate New York? Or because it's a ratio, a certain number
of... It's cafe standard,
right.
and yeah.
You got to sell a certain number of electric vehicles to make the government
It's not that simple,
happy.
but essentially you need your product portfolio needs to average out to a certain point. But even when the Volt came out, they were poor at marketing it. There was questions as to whether it was a true hybrid or not, because the ICE engine wasn't completely separate from the drivetrain, and it could actually help the electric motor power things. And so that was confusing. Like, they have this amazing technology and did such a piss poor job of explaining it that people just think, oh, it's the same as my Camry hybrid or my Accord hybrid, when the Volt is actually a lot more complicated than that, especially the second generation.
There are guys on YouTube that I follow that are supercar reviewers. They review Paganis and Ferraris and whatnot, and they love the Volt. They're like, this is the best EV. They like it in many cases above the Tesla, and yet it's gone.
Yeah, or it will be gone soon. So let's go back to the B1. When are you expecting to start production, and then how can people find one if they're interested in picking one up?
Well, our magic target date is 2020, early 2020, which is not that far away. So we got a lot to do. So 2019 is going to be a sleepless year for us. But
a lot of Red Bull.
A lot of Red Bull.
So 2020, and right now on our website you can reserve one. We have over 25,000 reservations for it.
I'm sorry, how many?
What?
25,000.
Oh my gosh!
And that's zero down. I always
sure.
Put a caveat on it. It's zero money down, and we don't have a price point out yet, and all that kind of
stuff.
stuff.
Still a lot of interest, though.
Yeah,
I know it's a big hand raising. So we've loved it right since the reveal that we did last year, July 27th of last year, we had 4,000 reservations within 24 hours, kind of thing. So.
Now, did you do like any kind of like a promotion where you can give $1,000 and get a T-shirt or whatever? Like you could have raised
like a Kickstarter.
So you could have raised a lot of money.
Yeah, we have a lot of those in the works now to start right after the beginning of the first year.
Got it.
We have
okay.
the merch. We have the merch now to back that up.
Where can they go to find out more about the vehicle?
Just go to BollingerMotors.com and it's all right there. Our pickup truck renderings are up there first, but then the 4-door, you can look on there, all the videos, all the real testing we've done on the 2-door B1 prototype that's fully operational.
It's a great site. There's a lot of great stuff on there. How long after the B1 launches are you anticipating the B2 coming to market?
Well, we're hoping to build those side by side. So when we do have a price point and when you do actually give us like money down, you'll pick either the B1 or the B2.
Got it. Okay.
What's the goal?
Yeah.
What's the output goal?
At least to output. That's really the goal. Get to the point.
That's a fair answer.
I love the honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's fantastic.
And then we'll go. It's going to be micro small, and then we grow from there.
Do you have a dealer network? Will they go to a traditional car dealership, or do you have Bollinger only dealerships that you're working on setting up throughout the country, or will it only be in New York and LA to start, or something like that?
No, you order it online, and there's a concierge to drive it to your house.
Amazon drives it and drops it in your garage for you.
Just ask Alexa or whatever.
I'd like a B1, please.
It'll come to you. Yeah, yeah. It'll be direct to consumer at first, and then we're talking to third-party providers of service. So you might buy it from us, but then get it serviced with a network.
Fantastic. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing all this with us, Robert. Really appreciate it. And we're really,
we only scratched the surface. So we've got to have you back on because I feel like this is a baby step into this topic. And you were a great first partner to kind of do the dance. And we're either going to get a lot of people saying, I had no idea, or a ton of hate mail, one or the other. But I feel like this is a good way of introducing our audience to sort of the future technologies and things that are coming, and we'd love to have you back at some point.
Great. Thanks so much. I love strong responses, whatever they are. It just means someone cares, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm not afraid of either end there. So
no, you don't want lukewarm. You want love or hate, either way.
And I heard you might be back in LA in a few months with a prototype. Hopefully, when you are, we can get it. Yeah, we can get a chance to hook up with you and maybe see it in person.
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
And we've got another intro to play for you next time. So
you
have to come back now.
You have to come back.
All right, cool.
Robert, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.